be alive in this land of ours. Good to drive in this land of ours.
Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States.
The Hockey Time Machine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hockey Time Machine. I'm Glenn Dreyfus. We're going to invite in Mark Kirton. Mark is a name you might recognize. He's a friend of the show, and he lived the dream. 270 NHL games between 1979 and 1985 with the Red Wings, Leafs, and Canucks. And here's a moment that he won't soon forget. Paul Patsku sent along video that we're going to share with you now of Mark's first NHL goal.
Ian Turnbull up for Pat Boutet. Now that could be icing if number 4, Ron Grishner, gets to it. No, they allowed it. There's a pass. Wait, but well, what a way to begin your NHL career, Mark Kirton. Who blossomed in New Brunswick last year under Eddie Johnson, opens the scoring in the home opener.
How about that? Let's welcome in Mark Kirton, who is going to speak to us about an important topic that deserves more attention than it has gotten in years past, which is the fight against ALS. But Mark, let's start off by asking, do you remember that first goal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I was asked the other day about it, and, I couldn't have had a better team around me back then. That was a very veteran team, and there was only a couple, Greg Hotham and Rocky Saginack and I guess the young guys. But veteran presence, 2 veteran wingers, and, I remember that play like it was yesterday. Now, what they don't show you on there is I probably had my eyes closed when I one-timed that, and it was in the top shelf. So it's big thank you to Paul for finding it.
So the key, obviously, to goal scoring is keep your eyes closed when you shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to dwell on this, but since it is a recently opened wound, what's your analysis of what went wrong with the Maple Leafs in this year's series against the Canadiens?
Well, you know what? I mean, I bleed blue and white. I wanted to win like everybody else did. And I actually thought they would come out of the North. But, when it got to game 5 and they struggled and they looked tight, and then they lost game 5, and they went into 6, I knew there was going to be problems because think about it. In game 7, you're facing one of the world's best goalies, if not the world's best goalie, in Carey Price. So that's problem number 1. And then I was watching how the Canadiens were defending, and as soon as they got a lead, they would collapse 5 guys into the slot, and you got 100 legs to shoot through before you even get to Carey Price. So I think there was 2 things. The Leafs had to win game 5 or 6 and not let it go to 7. Just too much seeps into the mind. And the other thing is the fact that our core guys have not learned to, win in the playoffs yet. Because if you turn the station afterwards and you watch Boston play, who would you want to go to war with in a key game? Certainly that Pasternak line. They know how to win. And Yzerman never won a cup either until he was late 20s. So we have time, but our core's got to learn to win.
Do you think they will?
Well, That's a good question because I'm sure that, through the debriefing, every one of those players are going to get looked at and they're going to make some decisions. So listen, when something like this happens that was tragic this year, you may see a big move or two, and it could be a core move.
Okay, we heard it
There you
first
go.
from Mark Kirton. Now,
Yeah.
Mark, we're here to talk about ALS, which is a disease that gradually paralyzes people because the brain can't communicate with the muscles of the body. 80% of people with ALS don't survive past 2 to 5 years. There's few effective treatments, and there's no cure. So, Mark, if you would please, would you share with us your ALS journey?
Well, you know what, Glenn, it all started for me, and you're right, there is a short lifeline, but there's also ALS patients that live 10, 15 years as well. Everybody's different. And you know what, to be honest, I'd rather be in that category. Thank you. So I all started back in 2015. And I was sitting on a beach in Bahamas with my family, and my right bicep wouldn't stop twitching. And it was real unusual how it was twitching because I didn't lift weights or anything like that, or had coffee or whatever. It just started twitching. And I remember I was reading Bob McKenzie's book and a chapter on Coley Campbell, how he almost died out at his farm in an accident. And we were talking about my arm. He says, you better go in and get that checked and whatever. So I started going through testing for 3 years. And then I would be lifting weights and the dumbbell would just fall from my hand, or my golf club would fall from my right hand. And my fingers were separating. I thought, what the heck is going on here? So for 3 years, I went to everybody, Mayo Clinic, the whole works. And then in 2018, I was diagnosed at Sunnybrook. And in 10 seconds, our world just crashed, my wife and I. And, our kids were older, and we thought, this is the time we're going to start to really enjoy life, and then bang. So we got hit pretty hard with it. And then we had to decide how we were going to tell the kids. And it was a very humbling experience. And then, when I got home that night, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? I got two choices. I can either get depressed and go and cry in a corner and give up and all that, or I can face it head on and promise never to change my personality. And if anybody feels sorry for me, I will change that in a hurry and just go after it head on. And that's the way I've basically carried myself since March 2018. Now, having said that, it's spread around me. It's gone from right arm to left leg to right leg. And no longer can I walk. I can stand for a minute, but then I would go down like an accordion. So right now it's completely not anywhere near my front or my breathing or swallowing or eating or any of that stuff. So that's all good. And that's sort of where I'm at right now, Glenn.
One of the things that's regrettable is that when somebody does have an illness like yours, people tend to shy away. People don't know what to say. They're awkward. And so as a result, they do what I consider to be the wrong thing, which is try to not interact with the person as well. And what I've heard you say is what you actually prefer is to people to come up to you just like they did 10 years ago.
100%. And you know what? And don't forget, Glenn, what I do for a living last 30 years, selling real estate. So I can pretty well handle anything. And if I sense somebody is, listen, I feel worse when someone comes up and is sad, So I straighten that up in a hurry. But I must tell you guys that, and I really want to shout out to my family because when somebody gets ALS, it's an impact on my life for sure. But the impact is also on my family. And as I weaken, they sort of become an extension of me. Like if I can't do something, they're right there to do it. And I'm so proud of them because they're continuously here for me right around the clock on a moment's notice. So it's been tough for them, but I find that if I'm upbeat, they're upbeat. If I'm down, they're down. So it's up to me to be the man of the house and lead the way, and that's what I do. And then the sports world, of course, has been phenomenal, and I have great friends, and I have a strong faith. So if you've got all those things, what's there to be sorry about?
Your mission, you've said, is to have your story, the ALS story, not just your story, but anyone who has it, anyone who is in a family with ALS, to get that story heard. Because one of the problems in finding a cure for the disease is that it has not gotten the attention that some of the other tragic illnesses have, unfortunately, and that means you're not getting the same amount of research, you're not getting the same amount of funding, and that's part of what this month is all about.
Oh, that's right. And I have my own theory on it. I mean, it's been 80 years, Glenn. That's a long time. It's almost like it's a forgotten illness. And one of the things that I think is the problem is that you get these fearless leaders, like the two guys that started the ice bucket challenge, and they both passed away. And that ice bucket challenge has lost momentum. And then you've got the guy from IMALS, Brian Wallach in the States, and he's starting to hurt right now. And one of the groups that I'm involved with is ALS Action Canada, which is a patient-led group. And you know what? There's people in that group too that are struggling. So what happens, Glenn, is that we build momentum and then lose the momentum when the leader dies. So I think there's been too many restarts over the last 80 years, and that has been a problem as well.
And you mentioned the families that suffer right along with the person having it, and it's not only the time and energy that ALS takes away, but it can also be a tremendous financial drain. And I've seen some estimates where it can cost families up to $250,000. So that's something else that needs to be addressed.
It is. And it's, I mean, I think someone told me it would be in excess of 200,000 by the time you got everything in place. And I couldn't believe it at the beginning, but I get it now. By the time you renovate and equipment and all that stuff, it does add up. But, that's why ALS Canada is so valuable, because they have rental programs and stuff for people that can't afford to buy new. So, but you're absolutely right. It is a problem. And that's why, as much funding as we can get, because it all helps, right?
Before we get into a discussion of what's going on this month to raise awareness, I want to talk about your research. I understand that you found a number of professional athletes, 70 or so, I think, and most of those in professional football, who have come in contact and suffered from ALS. And I'm wondering what you've learned from that research.
Well, when you get something like I have, and you've had numerous concussions, the first thing that pops in your head, is I wonder if it was from one of the concussions I had. Because I remember getting knocked out in Chicago and virtually waking up in the dressing room. And somehow I remember actually coming off the ice. I do remember that, but it was like a black and white movie looking into the crowd. So I had my concussion, so I immediately thought that. But the more I look into it, my conclusion is that I believe that concussions are definitely a risk factor when it comes to this. But there's a lot of non-athletes that have ALS as well that have never had a concussion. So I think that from what I've learned, there is some evidence that there could be a correlation, but it warrants further studies, which they are going to do. They just need a few more bucks to do it, and they're going to move in that direction and look at elite athletes causing ALS, etc. But yes, you're right. There's about 30 on that first list I did. There was about 36 NFL guys. One more recent one, Steve McMichael. If you want to see a powerful YouTube video, watch that one, because that guy was a warrior in the mid 80s of the famous Chicago Bears defense, and he's really struggling now. So I think there's something there. And that's why I'm hoping that NFL football will actually pay attention to Lou Gehrig Day and have a Sunday for Lou Gehrig and football as well. Because as much as baseball is accountable, I think football needs to follow suit as well.
The Gehrig Day just passed. There's another event coming up on the 20th, but let's go back to the Gehrig Day that just passed, because June is ALS Awareness Month. Was the Gehrig Day, which had never had this much attention to it, there's the first annual that just passed, all the players wore patches, and it was mentioned on television. Did you consider that significant?
Well, I think because it was the first year, and don't get me wrong, it is massive. It is huge for awareness for us. It's a big, big stepping stone. But having said that, the Toronto Blue Jays were moving up to Buffalo a couple of days earlier. There's a lot of balls juggling around. I get all that. But to be honest with you, I thought and was hoping they might do a little bit more. When the Toronto Blue Jays represent all of Canada, and I have lots and lots of ALS afflicted friends now who I know personally, and I love them. And you know what? I think that they could have done a bit more, maybe at the beginning of the telecast. I have all the respect in the world for Steve Gleason. I think it's incredible, the former New Orleans Saints, how he's managed his life since he ran into this. But at the same time, he is from the States, and we got a lot of local people that are suffering with this. So I think they kind of missed it on that a little bit. But it is the first year, so maybe we'll give them a pass. But in the future, I hope that they look local and resonate some of those stories. Oh, well, and Glenn, I'm sorry, Glenn, one other thing I was going to add to that is Lou Gehrig Day is allowing us to tell our stories across Canada, right? And the whole month of June, for that matter. And we're figuring that never before have we had a platform like that to get the word out across Canada. And if we're successful with it, which I think we will be, then we may break down some of these barriers that with funding, research from the government and what have you, because we need the government to facilitate, not to continuously frustrate us.
Let's talk about the big event coming up, which is Sunday, June 20th, a virtual walk to end ALS. You're going to be involved with that. Tell me what you know about the walk and what your role in it is going to be.
Well, it's kind of, this is the first year I've actually been involved with it, and it is virtual, right? So it's a strange way of doing it, but my understanding is there's a 10 a.m. start time where they on Zoom, and then everybody leaves the screen at 10:30, goes out and does videos with family and friends and what have you, and it comes back at 3 o'clock, posts them all as a concert and all that kind of stuff. So it's just all done virtually. But the big thing is, Glenn, is the fundraising. And, pretty well everybody involved has their own site and their own team and what have you, and does their own fundraising. So I'm hoping that once COVID is under control, and next year we can actually have real walks. But look, it's the biggest fundraiser they have, ALS Canada, and so I'm confident it'll be successful again. I had my own Twitter program that we talked off air about, which has really generated a lot of awareness to Lou Gehrig Day as well as the 20th. And I managed to get 21 former NHL players, coaches, and media to do short promo videos. And I ran them through Twitter 2 a day, and the response has been incredible. And these are big names too, Hall of Famers and stuff. And I have about 6 days left of that program. And our plan, Glenn, is to bundle them all together with a strong note and go after politicians with them and see how far we go.
While you've been speaking, we've been putting up both the donation website, which is alsevents.ca/Mark Kirton, and also your Twitter address at Kurt Speaks ALS. So folks can still go there, donate, and watch the videos that you spoke about, correct?
Yeah, when they go to the Twitter, they just have to push click on profile, and you'll see 20 of the videos. And I'm going to start writing all these guys that did it, because it shows you the number of views. And my video was the first one. It was a couple minutes long. Now, granted, mine was a little bit more emotional and stuff, but I think I had over 50,000 views on it in the week, and then Ron McLean's second, and I've got them all ranked, so it's pretty funny actually. But I am so proud of them to come up to the plate. Yeah, that was when he had cancer towards the end. And let me back up with Roger. I mean, I've known Roger since I was about 14. I wrote letters to a bunch of hockey schools when I was playing midget to work at a hockey school, and he was the only one that responded. And he came to my house and met my parents and all that stuff. And next thing you know, I'm living at his cottage, working his hockey school every summer. And then he drafted me to Peterborough and Toronto and traded for me in Vancouver. But that particular day was at his hockey school, I think the last summer. And I saw all these names on a list, and I said, Raj, what are all those names and numbers and all that? And he said, look, he says, that's my list I need to call. These are all people that have cancer and need to be lifted up by me or picked up by me. And I thought, wow, that's unbelievable. So I've been doing the same, and I get calls from people now and emails, or someone will call me and say, hey, I've got a friend that has ALS. Can you call him? And you know what? I can help build them up from a positivity standpoint, but also on the shortcuts on equipment and all that. I can help them with that. And especially if I had one here, I'd show you, but even the utensils that you put on your hand, like I can eat normal by putting this special fork or spoon in my hand. I can eat cereal, whatever, like anybody. But some ALS patients have never even seen those before. So they try to pick up a spoon and it just falls in their bowl. So yeah, I've hopefully I can make life a little easier for people from that perspective and help them get through mentally as well. And then Roger meant so much to us, we named our oldest son after him. So there you go, Roger, Taylor Nielsen Kirton. So.
Wow. And that's why the Toronto Sun wrote of you recently. He has a big, warm personality and a giant-sized heart. Hey, Mark, before we go, there's still a drawing, right? So people who donate are still eligible for some fabulous prizes. So why don't you tell us what they are, Mark?
You know what? There's we've got well, first of all, everybody gets one of those shirts that Ron McLean showed to 4.5 million just before the overtime. Help Kurt's end ALS. We send those out. And purple, just so you know, wasn't my choice of colors, but that happens to be what ALS color is. So purple it is. And as far as the draw at the end of the month, we have 4 John Tavares prints done by Rob McDougall, who's very well known around in as an artist. He's from Oakville as well. And so we have 5 of those, 5 prints. Bobby Orr sent some memorabilia down here as well. And then Doug Gilmore, we have a signed sweater from him. And Brendan Shanahan is sending a few items as well. I haven't wanted to bother him over the last couple of days, as you can understand why. But at the end of the day, it's just a small token draw for people that donate.
You're a popular guy, Mark.
Well, it's been busy the last little bit. I'm not used to doing those CP24 things when they give you 3.5 minutes when you've got about 3 hours of material you want to tell them. But, it's quite interesting how they do that. And then it was funny because one of them asked me what my ALS Twitter thing was, and I was drawing a blank and couldn't even remember. But anyways, it was fun doing them. And, of course, all your buddies, everybody wants to watch you on CTV and all that stuff. But you get better and better, I guess, when you do it. But at the end of the day, it's all about the awareness, right? And it's been such a forgotten illness, and it's time to get known out there. A lot of these interviews and podcasts and stuff, you could go on for hours, because when somebody does have ALS, there's lots of stories. I mean, lots of falls. You laugh, you cry, you get hurt, you get helped up. I mean, I don't want to leave it on a downer point here, but listen, I fell down 16 risers of stairs once, and it was the last house I showed because my team shows them now. But I fell down the stairs when the client was out the backyard, and I walked up the stairs. My right leg was about 95% okay. My left leg was about 25%. So I led with my right leg all the way to the top, and I got to the top, and I reached for the railing, and I started to tilt. And I went back, and I go, oh my God, I'm going down. I put my hands on my head, and I rolled down like a bowling ball, and I landed at the bottom. Thank goodness it was carpet. I landed on the bottom in a fetal position, just like those murder mysteries where they chalk you and stuff. And I'm lying there, and I'm going, am I alive or am I dead? And I'm going, oh, I'm alive. Okay. So I got up and I crawled over to the stairs, and I adrenaline-wise got back up to the top and went home and couldn't move for 2 weeks. I was so sore. So I think God or somebody is keeping me around to push for this awareness and stuff, because nobody gets through that without a broken bone. And I told Daryl Sittler in closing here that it felt like getting hit by 5 of the Broad Street bullies at once with their sticks above their shoulders. That's how it felt. And I'm bald. I have a hat because it took a bunch of hair on the top, just like you scrape your knee. I look like Gabby Boudreaux. I had no hair on the top. So, but you know what? I got through it somehow. So there must be a reason, Glenn. Sorry about the long story, but I thought I'd share it.
Yeah, but you left out, did you sell the house?
Oh, no, you know what? He came, and I said, what do you think? He said, I don't think it's for me. I said, okay, see you later. I just wanted to get the hell out of there because I was hurting. I was really hurting, but I can't believe I didn't break even a bone.
Well, we're glad you didn't. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to make sure that people know before we let you go?
No, I think the last thing I would like to say about this is that people, when they see, I think they know what ALS is now. And when they hear about it, or there's a petition to be signed, or there's something that they can tell their municipal leaders, they need to get loud with us, because power is in numbers. And none of us are real happy with the government right now, because they seem to be like we want faster pathways so that when they do find the miracle drug in the States or wherever, we want it to get in our bodies right away. And right now, guys, it's a 2-year process to get through the FDA, Health Canada, provincial. Well, we don't have 2 years, and some of us. And so, you know what? We need faster pathways. We need more trials into Canada. We need more research funds. So it's all government. And the last thing I'm going to say is that back in 2017, the government passed a motion 105 because they lost one of their own MPPs in the House to ALS. And this guy fought. He fought like a lion for 3 or 4 years. And they were so moved by it that they created this motion, and they were supposed to push this every year, raise money, blah, blah, blah. Not a single thing has been done since 2017. So that sort of tells the tale, right?
Well, let's hope that with Mark Kirton as a champion for ALS, you'll be able to come back and visit with us in the future and tell us a happier story from that standpoint.
Yeah, you know what, Glenn? I would love to come back, but I love your show, you guys. You run a great show, and as you know, I try and get on it as much as I can. But no, I really enjoy it, and thanks for having me. And yeah, I'll give you an update down the line on how I'm doing and how our journey is going from a overall ALS standpoint as well.
We very much appreciate your time, and we are rooting for you, and keep fighting the good fight, Mark. I should say media darling, Mark Kirton.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.